Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard in the house. First in the house is Michael Radnin. It's in the house from Brooklyn, New York. We also have in the house, Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. We have Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Bruce Pollard from, Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas. Bruce, we missed you on Saturday. You said, I saw some good video you shot at No Kings Kingwood. I actually am going to play that today. Good chance I'm going to play it today. Let's see where we get here. But anyway, we had a great time. We had a great time out there for the Kings, for the No Kings rally here in Kingwood. More people than have ever showed up at any rally in Kingwood, Texas. And I've been here for several decades, and we have never had 700 people in a protest show up. Yes, we get 700 people in town center or 1,000 people in town center or more, when we are having our festivals, etc. But for a protest, never, ever happened. Even during Occupy Kingwood, we never got that. And this was repeated all over the country. We had Jack Van Beber, who is our engineer at KPFT in the morning. He went to one in League City. We had Howard Reynolds, who is an entire engineer for KPFT. We had a big one at 1960 and 290. We had big ones in Katy. We have reports out of Katy. We have reports out of downtown Houston, which had over 15,000 people. This was huge. And it shows that, and by the way, it is bigger than the Tea Party. It was bigger than Occupy Wall Street, all of that. And, it was so big, they did have to start to cover it, which we are happy for. Welcome aboard, Uju. How you doing, beautiful? Charlene Lambert, welcome aboard. Adam W. is in the house. He says, hi, Egberto. Good afternoon. Adam from Pennsylvania. We also have Cheryl Elkins in sunny New England. Zach Substack joined. Welcome, Zach. Anyway, folks, so here's the deal. Here is an important deal. You know what's happening in LA. Carl Cox, welcome from Riverdale, Georgia. And Desmond Jones, but will the people show up to vote? Desmond, that's our job. There are a lot of people who think their vote doesn't matter. And the truth of the matter is Democrats hadn't done a good job in proving that their votes did matter, because we had too many, quote unquote, too many of our, what kind of Democrats should I call them? Establishment Democrats that constantly tell the poor and the poor portion of the party, wait a little bit, wait a little bit, wait a little bit. Your time will come, but it never comes. Medicare for all never comes. Childcare never comes. It is time for us to, first of all, elect the progressives who are going to let it come. And then point out to the people, let's go vote. And you have to be an act, as Tom Hartman always say, you have to be actively engaged in making it happen. And you have to tell the voters that are coming out to vote, yes, we need your vote now, but we are going to need your presence later. So I hear you, my dear brother, Desmond Jones. Will they show up to vote? You're absolutely right. It is your job. It is my job. It is everybody's job here who are already voters and politically aware to make sure that those who are not used to voting, those who are not doing these things, actually come out to vote. Anthony Lefranco says, what is the 3.5 statistics concerning protests? Whenever I've heard 3.5% is a threshold to protest making an impact, not sure of the rest. Exactly. When you have enough of the population, 3.5% of the population protesting, that means you have enough dissension within the ranks, between the population at large, that makes change. And we had over 3.5% representation of the 330 million Americans out there. We reached the threshold, which means we are at an impasse and we have to determine what do we do with it. It is something we've got to work on. Shiva Las Vegas. How you doing? Egberto. Thank you. How you doing? Beautiful. Michael says, Desmond, I'm waiting on my absentee ballot to arrive. Should be in a few letters. Make sure not to vote for, not to vote for you know who. ¿Dónde está mi mente? We don't need we don't need him to win. We want the one that our AOC supported. Anyway, welcome aboard. Uju says it's called corporate Dems and listen to their consultants over their constituents. David Pluff is now working for Coinbase. It's ridiculous. I didn't even know that. Thank you for informing me about that, Uju. Didn't know that. Adam W says, if things were so bad under Biden, why didn't even a million ever show up to protest him for the 4 years he was in office? Because look, we needed to do a lot more under Biden. Like I said, Democrats need to support democratic values. But here is the thing. Biden, even as he didn't do all that we wanted him to do, was a better funder of progressive ideas than Obama, than Clinton, than any other Democratic president since likely Roosevelt. Let's be clear on that. I'm no Biden lover, but Biden did more for the progressive movement than any other president in our lifetime. Look at the numbers. That's all you need to look at. And I am not a big Biden lover. I think I do believe he is an establishment Democrat. I do believe he's a corporate Democrat. I do believe all of that about him. But the one thing the brother has is a soul. The one thing the brother has is a soul. That is what Biden had. And he remembered his roots. Yes, the corporate stuff took him over. The establishment took him over. I get it. The neoliberalism took him over. He bought into neoliberalism. But right at that inkling, he said he listened to AOC. He listened to Ilan. He listened to them. He actually spent some time listening to these people. And you know what? He performed the best he could, given Mansion and Cinema. Let's remember history, folks. And let's also just look at the data and not look at the personality. The data and not the personality. Okay. All right. Michael Radin from Raw Story says, new poll finds hardly anyone supports Republicans' big, beautiful bill. Quinnipiac poll shows Trump's 2026 budget is underwater with Americans. The bill is 37% underwater with independents and 10% underwater. 10% of Americans say that Medicare funding should be cut. Say that Medicare funding should not be cut, I think, including only Republicans' swing district. All right. Michael also puts out the Independent UK. Trump considering adding another 36 countries to his no travel list, including African and Caribbean nations. The memo included a caveat. If a country is willing to accept third country nationals who are being removed from the United States, it would ease other concerns. Another day another manufactured outrage. If these nations accept when ICE starts deporting people to whole other continents, to countries where the deportees don't speak the language, will the day when the outrage turn to protest again? Look, all of that is a distraction because we are going to talk about it and it's going to let you forget about the big bad bill. We're not going to talk about it. France 24, a manhunt was underway Sunday for the gunman. Yeah, they found him today, or they found him last night. He's in custody. You guys can read that one on your own. I got some important stuff to come out. North Jersey News, how many people attend No Kings? More than 2,100 No Kings protests took place. I want a big number. What's the total number? Somebody on the show, 12.1 million people. We have acquired over the 3.5% threshold. We are there. We are there. The protests will bear fruit, folks. The protests will bear fruit. All right. ¿Qué más tengo aquí? Para ver qué más tengo aquí. Al Franco, welcome from Laguna Beach. ¿Cómo estás, my dear brother? We also have in the house Desmond Jones. We spoke already about that. Shiva, thank you for being here. Jacqueline Campisi, la profesora, the teacher. I hope you saw I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to play the video. We'll see. Of our event in Kingwood. I want to play it actually, so I better shut up. But here, I gave kudos. There are a lot of teachers out there as well. Happy. You guys are the ones that changed the world. Gene Daigle, welcome aboard. What else have we got here? Para ver. Okay, let's go ahead. I look. You know what's going on in LA is a sham. So I wanted to get the definitive answer from Dr. Manuel Pastor, who was at USC. So I interviewed him just before I came on. You should see me really fighting to get it processed into something to show you guys. And I think I got it. If there are errors in the process, forgive me. I think it's going to work. Let's see. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto, Willies, your host. Today, we are honored once again to have Dr. Manuel Pastor. Dr. Manuel Pastor is a distinguished professor of sociology and American Studies and Ethnicity at the University of Southern California. He currently directs the Equity Research Institute at USC. Pastor holds an economics PhD from the University of Massachusetts Amherst and is the inaugural holder of the Terpargian chair in civil society and social changes at USC. I always get that wrong. But anyhow, how you doing? Welcome aboard, Dr. Pastor. How's it going?
Good. It's good to see you again. I know you have new polo shirts. Looks good.
Yes. Our Politics Done Right polo shirts. But hey, look, I am so disappointed in the coverage that we are getting over what's occurring in LA. And I figured the best place to get the information is the one who's there and the one who knows. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's actually happening in LA, albeit a tiny portion of LA?
Well, the real story, which is not in a tiny portion of LA, is the ICE raids and the mass deportations. Because what happened was that Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff in the White House and architect of this reign of terror, decided that Immigration and Customs Enforcement was not meeting its targets. And that the easiest way to do that was to shift from focusing in on criminals who, after all, are trying to hide, to Home Depots, to garment factories, to just this Sunday in Orange County, flower sellers on the street who were selling flowers for Father's Day. So while all of the media attention has been on the conflagrations that are happening in a very limited part of downtown LA between protesters and the police, the real story is the way that ICE has fanned out into our communities, making arrests of, they say, at least half to 2/3 of who they are arresting are long-term residents who go to work every day, have families, are a key part of our economy and our society. So it's been awful to see the way the media focuses in on the flash and not really on the story.
Look, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, and I'm so glad that you corrected me there. And audience, this is what Dr. Pastor says so important. We are concentrated on those 4 square blocks where people are interacting with the National Guard, or not the National Guard, but with the LA police officers, while the real story is what is occurring. You know what's interesting, Dr. Pastor? Think about this. The premise that Donald Trump had was that there were all of these criminals that were out of the insane asylums and out of the jails of Latin America, all these and Latin America, Africa, the Caribbean, they were all being shipped out there. We all knew it was a lie because most of the people who come over here are actually law-abiding folks just looking for a job. Yes, you have the bad element, but even the bad element is a very small percentage, not only of the foreigners that come in, but also they have a lower crime rate than the people in the natural-born United States citizens themselves. So I think it proves that the president was lying. There were not enough criminals to arrest to get these people out. Your context on that.
So I will say something about that, but I wanted to say something first about, yes, the scenes that we're seeing in downtown LA about conflict between particularly young, very frustrated protesters and the LAPD. First, I was at one of those confrontations at City Hall a week ago, Sunday, in which we were trying to host a prayer vigil, and at the last minute, the prayer vigil got called off. But a couple of us went down to head off people who were coming down there. And yes, there were people who were agitating, but there's just a big level of anger, of frustration, of rage on the part of young people in particular that this insult to our city would take place. And the challenge of our times is, how do we change or challenge that hot rage of protest into the cold anger of strategy to be effective? And part of what you're seeing, the clashes are with the LAPD. But the LAPD does not want to be in the middle of this. The only reason the LAPD, our local police force, is there is because the National Guard showed up, because ICE showed up, because the Marines showed up, and they don't know how to do crowd control. And so there's a widespread frustration here. What is interesting, it could perhaps be very influential, which gets to your question, is there's also now frustration on the part of the owners of garment factories, of the farmers who are finding that their workforce is too scared to come to the fields to get the food that we all eat, of restaurant owners who are finding that their workers are not showing up. And you may have noted that just this weekend, Donald Trump put out a tweet and now has the ICE sending out memos saying, well, don't show up at the Home Depots. Don't show up at the fields. Don't show up at the restaurants, because now he's hearing from these powerful business people who don't want their labor force taken away. Because the reality of immigration in the United States is not that of gang members coming from Venezuela. Not to deny that there aren't some of those. But the reality is people who are showing up to pick our fruits, to clean our houses, to work in our construction industry. For example, here in LA, 1/3 of the construction labor force is undocumented. If we are to recover from the fires, those folks need to feel safe to be able to come to work. And so part of what's going on is that the business sector, too, is beginning to reject us. But it is really important to realize that Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, who was a Department of Homeland Security secretary, for them, it is about spectacle and television reality show and not the actual reality on the ground.
Now, interestingly, that will ultimately hurt the administration, because I saw a couple of streets in where we have the people that do the flea markets empty, zero people out there downtown, some parts of LA. As you mentioned, the garment district, nobody's coming out to work. So it's actually going to materially affect Trump. What's interesting is California is the largest economy in the United States, in which our undocumented workers play a very important part about it. How fast will that affect the entire United States economy, just the California portion, as far as you're concerned?
Well, it is super significant, because one of the things we tend to think of with California, it is the fourth largest economy
in the world.
And we tend to think of it as a place of high technology and innovation. But it's important to realize that behind every software engineer is an army of nannies, food service workers, gardeners, construction workers, and many of them are undocumented. The share of undocumented folks in Los Angeles County is high, but right behind it is Santa Clara County. That is the heart of the Silicon Valley. So this affects, one of the things we don't realize is how interdependent we are on each other. We are dependent on this immigrant labor to take care of our children, to take care of our elders, to do the work of construction, to do the work of food service. And that enables so many of the rest of us to do that work as well. So I do hope that this begins to filter through. But it's important to remember that this is an administration that has been able to uniquely combine cruelty and stupidity. That is, to really focus in on the spectacle of making people suffer because they believe that that appeals to their MAGA base, and to also do things that are incredibly counterproductive from the point of view of the nation as a whole. A tariff war that is misinformed, that is actually going to hurt us. An attack on immigrants when we need this immigrant labor to prop up our economy. It's one of the reasons why we've been able to continue to grow. A fiscal policy that's about tax cuts for the wealthy and cutting off the support that we need for the bulk of us. Again, a combination of cruelty and stupidity. It hasn't caught up with them yet, but I have the feeling that this last weekend, in which the protests on the streets against impending authoritarianism outweighed the numbers on the streets to support the dear leader's birthday march, may be a sign that things could turn.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. Dr. Pastor, you wrote an article in Dissent called Rage and Prayer in Los Angeles, one that I hope to repost as well at our sites, a very substantive article that I think everybody needs to read. Why don't you give me a few bullets on that, and then give me a closer. What would you like? What should I have asked you that I didn't?
Well, I do hope that people read the article, and what it's about is going from this confrontation on the streets when I saw the anger of young people to a labor-supported rally to free a labor leader, David Huerta, who'd been arrested, to a redone prayer vigil that brought probably about 1,500 people to downtown LA to protest against ICE and to pray for peace. And I remember being there and being somewhat frustrated because I kept thinking, well, calling for peace, listening to folk songs when there's so much violence on the street, in which the soundtrack of Los LA is Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, that it seemed out of touch with the anger of young people. But then that group of faith leaders led a march to the federal building. And on the federal building, they knelt down and prayed in front of the National Guard. And young people who were there parted way so that these faith leaders could come to the steps. And when the faith leaders knelt, the young people knelt. What they needed to see was that non-violence wasn't about stepping back and not doing anything. That non-violence, as it was in the 1960s, was about brave confrontation, but having the discipline of non-violence to move people to your side. So that is really the big point, is that in this moment, we need to find our inner John Lewis, the courage to walk across that bridge at Selma, the courage to resist the violence that will come our way, and the courage to inspire people to follow in this moment. LA is rising. The question is, will the rest of America do the same?
Dr. Manuel Pastor, Distinguished Professor of Sociology and American Studies and Ethnicity at University of Southern California. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Siempre un placer estar contigo. Always good to be with you.
Muchísimas gracias, hermano. Have a wonderful day, sir. That was great having Dr. Pastor because, like I said, Dr. Pastor he was actually there. He wasn't reporting from an ivory tower. He was actually on and in the field. I want to correct Lee the Bearcat. No, Israel is not just hitting military bases, etc. Israel is assassinating physicists and scientists. Israel is killing leaders of that country. That is a very dangerous proposition. Suppose that country decides to infiltrate Israel and gets to Netanyahu. Suppose they infiltrate Israel and get to some of their better scientists. What's good for the goose? Is it not good for the gander? I suggest for all of those who are, I tell you what, I was going to go ahead and play the piece from the No Kings, but let me play something rather important for you guys to understand. All right. And everybody, I hope, please listen up to this. We don't get real media here. Listen up to this, I ask you kindly, because the whole Israel story is sick. The whole Israel story is sick. Let's hear it here. All right, okay, hold on.
Rather upside down. If you're watching Western media coverage of the Iran-Israel crisis, you might be witnessing a rather upside down, topsy-turvy, bizarro view of the world, of reality. You're not being told everything. You're being given skewed perceptions. For example, if you're watching Western media coverage, you might come away with the impression that Iran attacked Israel out of the blue and Israel is responding, when it's the other way around. We all saw on Thursday night that it was Israel that launched an illegal act of aggression against Iran. Iran is the victim here, Israel is the aggressor, but in the Western media coverage, Israel is the victim always. Some other points you may miss while watching Western media coverage, for example, Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons, Israel does. Iran is a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, Israel isn't. Iran has allowed IAEA inspectors into its country, Israel doesn't. It's a nuclear double standard that I raised with former Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon a few years back on my Al Jazeera English show Head to Head, in a clip that's recently gone viral again.
How many nuclear weapons does Israel have? Because experts say it's anywhere between 80 and 400.
So what?
So what?
Yeah, so what? Has Israel ever threatened?
Do you recognize the hypocrisy of Israel having a secret illicit nuclear weapons program that it won't open up its doors to and won't talk about, and then lecturing everyone else in the region about nuclear weapons?
Absolutely not. You know why?
You talked about hypocrisy. Let me ask again. If an Iranian guest came on my show and I asked him about Iran's nuclear program, he said, I don't know, I'm not going to talk about it. Would you be okay with that? You'd be outraged.
Of course
and
I
yet
would
you
be.
sit here as a former minister of the Israeli government saying, I don't know, never talked about nukes with anyone.
Because there was like 16 United Nations Security Council resolutions against Iran.
And there is against Israel. And there is against Israel as well.
About about
your nuclear
issues?
program?
No.
Yes, there is. UN Resolution 487. Let me read it to you. The UN Security Council in 1981 says, calls upon Israel urgently to place its nuclear facilities under the safeguards of the IAEA. Why haven't you done that?
Because
there you have it, the nuclear double standard. Israel violates multiple UN Security Council resolutions when it comes to its own stockpile of nuclear weapons. And yet Western media interviewers who have multiple Israelis on air all the time never really ask about this, never really ask about Israel's nukes. Why? I get why Israel wants to maintain its policy of nuclear ambiguity, of not confirming or denying that it has nukes. But why does the US media, the UK media, the Canadian media, why do they all have to go along with it?
Now, let's go a little bit further because, we have a tendency to forget how, or not only, I am saying we have a tendency to forget. It's not even that we forget. We were never taught. We never learned. Iran should naturally be a friend of the United States if the United States treated Iran like it treated any other country in the world with respect, and not trying to exploit their resources. And that goes with what they've done in Africa and elsewhere. All these Western countries have gone into all these other countries and abused. We have to remember 1953, the coup d'etat in Iran that was arranged when the democratically, listen to this, the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh decided, I am going to protect my country. We were getting pennies on the dollar. England and the United States were taking the oil at pennies on the dollar. Same thing that they did in Venezuela. Why? Venezuela is also an arch enemy. Because we didn't allow, or they are trying to fight the corporatocracy of the United States of America and other Western countries for going into these countries and raping them, taking their natural resources and many a times selling it back to them as finished goods. Raw resources, finished goods, which means that country continues in a deficit methodology. What did Mohammad Mossadegh says? No. We're going to nationalize the industry, the oil industry. That was too much. So the United States imposed the Shah of Iran. The Shah of Iran then became the new leader, the new puppet of the United States and Great Britain in Iran. That's how the Iranian Revolution started when Ayatollah Khomeini came back into Iran to say, no, we're not going to have this abusive king take the natural resources of the country. Okay? Now, these guys were acting in their self-interest. When Iran is trying to build a nuclear bomb, and yes, I do believe they're attempting to build a nuclear bomb. Do I think they're trying to build a nuclear bomb to bomb the holy hell out of Israel? Hell no. That would make no sense. Any country that thinks they're going to take out Israel, it's a ruse on you, America. It's a ruse on you. The Arab countries have their masses talking about death to Israel, death to Israel. Do you believe any of those Arab governments in today's history, any of them will try to take out Israel as a country? Hell no. All of that is to keep you, the American people, filling the coffers of the defense industrial complex with bombs to bomb the holy hell out of folks under the pretext that these guys want to annihilate Israel. It's not going to happen. If there's a United States, there will always be an Israel. I repeat, if there's a United States, there's always going to be an Israel. So no Arab country in their right mind, nuclear bomb or not, is going to attempt to take out Israel. So therefore, it's a ruse on you. to fund the defense industrial complex, to ensure that our tax dollars go to a whole bunch of rich cats who own the defense industrial complex and make money on our backs with lies. What Mehdi Hasan just said, most people didn't know. Now, let me tell you what many people think. I believe this as well. The reality is the Middle East would be a safer place if Iran had a nuclear bomb. A nuclear bomb. And let me tell you why. Because the only reason and people, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying that. You know what? Keep peace in the Korean Peninsula. North Korea has a bomb. Has any Western country attempted to go into North Korea? Hell no. India has the bomb. Has anybody who doesn't like what India does attempt to go into India? Hell no. China has the bomb. Pakistan has the bomb. Pakistan does a lot of things that we hate. Have we ever once attempted to go into Pakistan? Of course not. Again, we are the ones who came up with the concept of mutual assured destruction. We came up with the concept of MAD, M-A-D-D, mutual assured destruction. With mutual assured destruction, we know we better not mess with Russia. We better not mess with China. We better not mess with Pakistan. We better not mess with India. We better not mess with Israel. We better not mess with North Korea. We better not mess with Brazil. They all have nuclear weapons. So it's not at all, I'm coming to you in a second, Patrick. It's not at all inconceivable to point out that an Iran with nuclear weapons would stop Israel from doing its shenanigans in Iran. It would stop many others from going into unnecessary wars. Because again, we only blow people up who are weak. That's why we blow up Panama. That's why we blow up Grenada. That's why we blow up Gaza. That's why we blow up the West Bank. We only blow up places that can't defend themselves. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We as a civilization globally and as a nation, we use the logic that it's called the prisoner's dilemma. It was called something else before that you don't want on your radio. Is F you, buddy. But that was a thought experiment that became game theory. That the guy's last name was Nash. I can't remember his first name, but the movie A Beautiful Mind was a tribute to him. And he really wasn't a beautiful mind. He was a terrible person. But logically and by the rules of logic, we should feel safer if Iran has a bomb.
Yes.
Because what we decided as a civilization was that a nuclear weapon wasn't a weapon, it was a deterrent. And so if everybody has a deterrent, then we're on an even playing field. And so you're right, but you're also wrong, because when we're talking about that, we're assuming that everybody is not a psychopath, and we're believing that everybody is sane, which they're not. I agree with you that Iran has the right to have it, and because that paradox is already open, they should have it. We shouldn't have ever opened that Pandora's box, but we're here now, and we should be arguing for them to have one, because we decided that a nuclear weapon is a deterrent, not a weapon. He was found out to be a sociopath and schizophrenic. And another interesting thing happened was that he was working at the Rand Corporation when they went through all these thought experiments. And what was really, really interesting was when all the men, especially the leadership in Rand, did the prisoner's dilemma, they all backstabbed each other. But then when the secretaries and the feminine portion of the organization went through this process, they all helped each other. And that made that experiment fall apart, which I thought was interesting.
It doesn't surprise me at all because we were nurtured. Society has created a culture of the nurturing woman, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't necessarily feel that the nurturing aspect is genetic. I think the nurturing aspect may have more to do with culturalization, but I am not a sociologist, so I do not know that for a fact. I'm just assuming.
Different cultures do have men nurture more and less than we do. So yeah,
right.
There's evidence for that. But I just wanted to contribute to that. And then on Thursday, and I tried to share it with you Friday morning, but we ran out of time. Egolf Twiddler has a lot of really, really good comments.
Right.
And the one that really got me, and I've been thinking about the most, was he brought up the fact that there's a lot of sporting events that more damage is done in celebration of nothing than what that small area in LA is going through. And I thought that deserved more attention than it got.
I love that you said that. That makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, and then you think, why, right? Why? But anyhow, is anybody having problems right now with the feed on not on Instagram, the feed on let's see, Substack? Is that still full for everybody, or is there issues with the feed? Can you tell me that? Anybody on this on Substack? We'll see. Anyhow, anything else you want to add, my friend?
No, sir. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, my friend. You have a good one, sir. Have a good one. All right, that was Patrick. Now, let me go ahead. I'm going to play a small version of, just a few minutes of our article here in that what we did here with the no kings, and then I'll stop it after about 8 minutes or so. So here we go. Let's go ahead and do that right this minute. Kingwood, Texas had the most successful and peaceful protest that has ever occurred in this town by volume, by numbers, and by the types of policies these people were protesting about in the No Kings protest that we had. And I can't tell you first of all, how amazed I was of its success. And it was so successful that at the allotted time that we were supposed to close it down, people refused to leave. They were just having fun, expressing themselves, expressing their rights to democracy, expressing their free speech rights, protesting against a president that's a convicted felon. That's not only that he's a convicted felon, but he continues his felonies as he governs. This was arranged by Cindy Hendrickson, leader of the Indivisible Kingwood. And one has to commend the marvelous job that she, along with many of her other organizational leaders, put together in this framework. I taped the entire event. Unfortunately, I attempted to live streamed it. And with the goal of using the videos from the live stream, I erred in that I should have had two cameras, one for live streaming and one for the actual interviews and images that I took, because the quality of the video is not very good. But I was able to salvage enough substantive video for you to get a feeling of what it was like on the ground. So without further ado, let me go ahead and play that, and then we'll take it on the other side. All right, talk to me. You're on my Substack right now. You want to say a little something?
Sure. I'm now here because the rule of law matters.
Yes.
Institution. So right, left, doesn't matter. We should be standing up for those things.
Have you been active before? This is sort of your first rodeo.
Like this gentleman, I've been independent. I've voted for Republicans. I've voted for Democrats. And if we had a normal Republican,
you would vote again. Yeah.
Here.
Right.
But we have somebody who's tearing apart our democracy, and we have to stand up as citizens again, whether you're right or left,
Right.
it's important to be.
I think it's important what you just said. Whether you're right or left, we have the responsibility as United States citizens to actually engage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Hello, sir. Yeah, want to say a little something to me while you're out here?
Yeah. Well, I'm a veteran. I fought in Vietnam. We fought for democracy for everybody. And we're a nation of veterans. And I wondered what happened to democracy in this country. This is not. My father stood for and said they could see it's quite disappointing because we're all citizens of this country. All supposed to be following surprised. And this, what is happening is not the answer to the
Well, thank you, sir. First of all, thank you very much for your service. And you know, you hear a lot of that from folks. They don't really mean this stuff because they forget about your veterans benefits. They forget about all of that. Know that that's what we fight for, and we want to thank you for what you've done. Thank you, sir. Hello. Look at my brother. How you doing? Look at that sign. No kings. Aren't you a king? You are no king. Why are you here?
I thought when I heard you ask that question, if they have to ask, you wouldn't understand.
Well, I remember I'm just asking with a blank slate. I need to hear from you. It's not about me. It's about you.
Listen to the news. That's all you got to do.
There you go. There you go, brother. All right. All right.
I'm a 30-year veteran.
Yes.
Non-veteran. I can't stand this idea of using the troops. Meaningful pay and benefits to the veterans and Medicare and Medicaid cuts, Social Security cuts. This is democracy, representative democracy. Right? We don't need it.
Thank you, my brother. That's a good one. Thank you. All right. Hello. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Well, why are you here, my friend? Look, I know the answer, okay, but I still have to ask. Remember, I got to be objective. How you doing?
I'm doing fancy. The sign says it all.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I've seen all kind of sign. I haven't seen such a very well put sign than that one. Okay. So tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm a pope.
Okay.
I like playing around with words. And right now, really and truthfully, enough fucks.
Right.
We cannot have a constitution being violated. We the people, I mean, it means a lot. A lot of people die. There are a lot of people. My father fought World War II when he was 16 years old. That fight was for democracy. It's 16 years old. Okay. So it's really important to me that what we have is preserved. It's not perfect, but this is the wrong direction. This is absolutely the wrong direction.
Thank you very much, sir. You want to say a few words?
Oh, you don't want to start that.
Well, then just because you started that, what I want to hear from you.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
First of all, I don't know whether anybody else has heard. They've got these documents now that say that Trump asked for, on January 6th, asked for 10,000 National Guard. Oh, let me think. Compulsive liar? We're going to believe that? No. Plus the fact he has overwrought everybody because he has overreached his comments about what he was going to win for. And he's taking people that have been here 50, 60 years who have no criminal record. And I'm going to stop because I'll just...
Well, I'm glad that you brought up from. I have to remember that Vice President Vance is the one who had to call up the guards because he didn't do it. So any document that says otherwise, it's a fraud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me, why are you out here? Why are you?
Because I just got out of here and I missed all the other protests. So I was working. I'm attending. Now I have a chance to do this for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Hello, this is John Carter. This is the president of the one and only Humble Area Democrats. What's up, my man?
It's great to be in the crowd and so many people out here to defend democracy today.
You know, you remember we used to do together Occupy Kingwood.
Yes.
It's amazing. This is probably 10 times the crowd. This just shows you the condition that we're in relative to then.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's that much worse.
It's so heartwarming, I guess is the right word, that so many people here in Kingwood are coming out, waving their flags, they have their signs, and they're standing up for our rights.
We are the real Americans.
Yes, we are.
We are the ones that really stand in for the Constitution. Thank you very much, John. John Carter, my brother. Take it easy.
Bill Richter.
Bill, you are Bill. How you doing, Bill? Talk to me, my friend.
Oh, we're glad to be here today. Support democracy. And we love your work, and we are amazed.
I am very amazed myself. And look, thank you for being here. This is what we need. Ma'am, talk to me.
Oh, man, I'm your greatest fan.
I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you. Why are you here?
I'm delighted to be here. And it's You lose justice, you lose law, we lose democracy. And I'm so glad that it's gotten out.
You know, we were concerned about being in Kingwood, whether we were going to have the crowd, because there was a lot of threats, etc. And it showed. I won't hold you back anymore, but please, thank you very much again for coming. Thank you much for coming. All right. Take care. Why are you here?
I'm here to protest. No kids.
Oh, I love it. Is that your wife?
Yes, it is.
You know why they say they are a better half? They're quicker on your leg. Why are you here again?
Those are people here.
Thank you. All right. Why are you here?
I'm here to show our community that there's a lot of us here. And this is America. No more kings allowed. And that's where TMC is. So I'm here to show our neighbors that there's a lot of us here. We're getting a lot of positive reactions from the drivers that are passing by, and you can see we've got a good.
It's you participated with us when we did Occupy Kingwood. And what's interesting is, as I was telling, this crowd is more than 10 times what we were getting. Let me tell you different. We also have a lot of folks approach me to let me know they're not Democrats, they're Republicans and independents who actually want to see a change. When you hit that number, you know what it says. We're there. We're there. Thank you very much. Well, what you want to tell our Substack audience?
What's going on is wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be treated the same. I'm sorry. If they're in this country and on this soil, they have rights, period.
Exactly.
You need due process. Everybody else, your budget is long 70302. Great budget bill needs to go because we're neutering the courts financially.
And I think we're finally getting that out of the bill. But yeah.
Yes. Everything's lost.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what's interesting. Among your people here, you got some good Republicans that seek me out to tell me that they were Republicans. Does that tell you something?
Amen.
Does that tell you something?
A small, beautiful.
And look, the day turned out great. And we have several hundred people in Kingwood, Texas.
Reagan wouldn't be allowed to be a Republican nowadays.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
It is. I'm protesting. Okay,
I'm
yes.
supporting democracy.
You are what?
I'm supporting democracy.
That's what I want to hear.
My dad was in Germany before the Great War. Before they closed the borders, he was visiting grandparents, and so he had to deal with that. They knocked on the door. Grandson is not with me. He's living to learn that he got my grandfather down and so my dad came to this country, even and for praise and for openness, not to have another despot like Trump is. We visit with him.
Here you go. I think you nailed it. And that's what we have to remember. That's what we have to, and that's why we need to teach history. Let's say, sir.
We are Strawbridge United Methodist Church. We're here because we believe in democracy. And we tell that no matter your perspective or your life, welcome to Strawbridge.
Thank you. So you tell me what you need to say.
It's not just about one person. It's about the institution. I'm a gay man. Been my husband for 28 years. I have an adopted daughter who's biracial. All these are things they want to take away from us. So that's why I'm here.
Well, you know what? Thank you for being out here and fighting. You know what I always say is the only way they can get what they're getting is if we cede it to them. You can't cede it to them. Hey, sis, how you doing, girl? Talk to me. What's up?
Well, I'm here to say happy birthday to the Army, but I think we're relaxing marching.
There you go. Let me get you a sign. Perfect. Say that again.
Indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Love it.
My sign is billionaire over billionaires because I'm most upset about the big, beautiful bill, 220 billion cut from renewable energy. That's not okay with me. Get it for the voice of the people. So I'm asking for your vote. I want to be a representative of Washington, D.C. With starters, I'm running in the 18th congressional district. Just get me up there a year earlier and find one else in the person. I mean, NC Crenshaw, the voice of treason.
Thank you very much, my brother. Let's speak to Cindy Hendrickson. Cindy is a woman who called in yesterday to let us know what was occurring. She put this together with Indivisible Kingwood. She has been working her ass off to get this organized. And we have to give her a big hand for, in a place like Kingwood, getting a performance like this. Cindy, what you got to say?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't think we'd have this many people. I was hoping for 50.
You got hundreds.
And I'm really impressed. And the police are here and they are helping us, which is fabulous. This neighborhood is not ready for this. I see lots of shocked faces as they're coming down the street. Surprise, support. a couple MAGAs revving their engines.
That's fine.
For the most part, it's a lot of support here. And we need this because our community is fractured, and we need to know that there are like-minded folks out here in Kingwood.
Well, look, thank you very much, Cindy. And again, congratulations for this hell of an event. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Now, I know I can expect a speech from you, so start it, my friend.
We are here because America in 1776 told the king we did not want a king. And Trump, by hook or by crook, is sneaking behind our back, running around the laws and getting Congress to pass things that will give him the powers of the king. All under the guise of, folks, we really need this budget. We have to get this budget done. Then there's 1,000 other things getting him powers. Never to be prosecuted in the court, to do whatever he wants. So, folks, we're here today to say we are here for democracy. No.
I love that. And that is coming from a teacher. And you know what profession I've always tell you guys, I believe is the number one profession in this country? Teaching. You're looking at a teacher, and likely I've passed so many teachers. They keep knowledge going forward. Here we go again, once again.
All right, folks, we're coming close to the end. I can't show the whole thing, but the whole thing is online on our YouTube channel. But anyhow, we got to get out of here. For some reason, our Substack went down, and I am not sure why that went down. I'm hoping and hoping upon hope that it isn't because of the topic. But I will find out later on by trying to find a whole lot of context if this had anything to do with our topic. You know, there are certain topics that let me see how to say this nicely, that has a tendency of getting throttled. There are certain topics that, you know, and if this is what America is becoming, and I have no idea that this is the case or not, I will investigate it. We are in deep cacao. Before I shut this down, I am going to try one more time to do a reconnect on Substack just to make sure that it is something else. So I am doing that as we speak, and I am going to try one more time and see what happens with a new key and see if that new key happens to function. Let's see what that does. Anyway, folks, we are close to the end of the program. I want to thank all of you for being here with us. We couldn't do this without you. So please remember, if you are checking us out, consider becoming a paid subscriber. And the way to become a paid subscriber, of course, is to go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm getting old. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And I am pulling that up right now as we speak, as I've been trying to do a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes. Here we go. I'm going to put that into the chat right now. politicsdoneright.com/ and here we go. There we go. All right. So anyway, folks, that is pretty much the end of the program. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a shout. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?
Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.